What's going on, guys? Magdowan here. As I mentioned in my last video, I'm trying something a little bit different this league. I'm going to be playing in a duo with my buddy Pope Jupiter. We have decided to play builds that we're hoping are going to be complementary. We did the campaign together, we did our atlases together, and I'm hoping to make some content for mid-range or newer players that are interested in party play, but are either not able to afford or are not interested in sort of the Giga, Orabot, and carry type strategies that are pretty endemic of the party play space in the game. I want to see if there is a median that can be reached, a middle ground where we can make some extra profit and have a good time doing it, and kind of just discuss with you guys the ins and outs of that process. And so this will be the first duo diary in what I hope will be a series of videos where I kind of document our progress. It'll be a little bit more vlog style than my normal content, but we will see how it goes. So a few caveats. The way that we approached this was basically to do very little research. We didn't have a hyper-specific plan for how we were going to do things. We just kind of got on Discord, told each other ahead of time kind of what builds we were going to play, and then we just went for it. And so I want to talk about the experience of that in the first week of the Affliction League. So was it worth it to start the campaign in a party? Our experience leans towards no. So Act 1 was really punishing, I thought, for two people compared to when I had played solo in the past. Throughout the whole campaign, there was some weirdness with teleporting to each other. And I think ultimately it would have been a lot better if we had started with a 100% sorted out strategy for splitting up and completing quests. But since we were kind of doing half and half, we were just playing through things, there was some confusion that happened there, and it ended up kind of making things a little bit inconvenient. And another thing that occurred was the XP was kind of strange. We ended up more than once being 7 or more levels below the zone we were in, and I don't feel like I did anything different in terms of the number of mobs that I was killing as we went through each zone. So maybe we were getting too far apart and the XP wasn't being shared, or I'm not 100% sure exactly what was going on there, but it seemed like we had to be much more conscious of our XP to stay within the 3 or 4 ideal, levels for each zone as we went through it. So that also kind of made it a little bit less enjoyable than I think it would have been if we had just played the campaign solo and just hung out on Discord. There were also some differences in the way that we would both manage our time. And it wasn't a big problem because, again, we kind of went into it with a semi-casual attitude. But if you are wanting to take it more seriously, then you would probably want to hash out beforehand exactly how you're going to split up to complete quests and how you're going to manage your time, when you're going to go to town, when you're going to address your resistances and try and upgrade your gear along the process, when you're going to do the labs, all of that stuff. If you had a concrete idea of exactly what you were going to be doing the whole way through, then maybe it would have been smoother. But just semi-winging it the way that we did, I think probably both of our experiences would have been more enjoyable if we had just been on Discord having a good time and just blasted through the campaign on our own and met up when we got to the beginning of Atlas progression. However, the Atlas progression part was, for me, a huge win. It was extremely convenient to share the maps that we dropped and our Kirak missions. We would just do our maps separately and then call each other in at the boss to both get completion, and that worked out really well. A caveat here that I have to point out is that I have basically infinite time to play the game right now, and Pope Jupiter has a job. And so I was able to push ahead quite a bit faster than he was with the Atlas, and so it made things convenient that I could then come back and have some extra maps and pull his progression forward a little bit. And that part of it was, I thought, really enjoyable, really fun. It did not feel inconvenient. It seemed like it enhanced the experience for both of us, and so I definitely recommend playing in a group for Atlas progression, at least early on. And then in terms of our early gearing and currency farming, I think this was another win for playing in a small group. I had a ton of extra time compared to Pope Jupiter, so I was able to farm up extra currency and get both of our builds going past that little break point at the beginning, the first few div. And that made the time that I was farming when we were not together feel more productive and meaningful to me. It kept me focused because, well, I want to make sure I have extra currency so that I can, funnel some over to my buddy and make sure that we're relatively on the same playing field and that we can move forward as a unit. And it was fun in general, I guess, as a final point, to just have discussions about what gear to buy when and kind of watch the market over the first week. I felt like I was keyed into that a little bit more because it was not just my own build I was concerned with, but also the items that Pope Jupiter needed to make his build function. And I found that to be very enjoyable. And that is basically where we're at. I am currently, the Atlas is finished. I've got my map pool going now. I'm just kind of blasting T16s, and we're going to amass our seed currency for the farming strat, and then probably tomorrow or maybe this evening, we will try to get into, actually executing our first farming strategy. And then, from there, we will come back and talk about how effective it was and all of that stuff. So, and ultimately, that is about all that I've got for you guys today. Just a quick recap of our first week of playing the game together. I couldn't be having more fun, I don't think. As I said in the last video, taking a break over the course of the last week and a half was really good for me, but having a buddy to, BS with on Discord throughout the farming process and having that extra incentive to farm a little bit more has really also enhanced the experience. And so, for the most part, I would say it was a big win. Maybe play the campaign separate, but the Atlas progression and early gearing was really enjoyable. And so I'm looking forward to getting everything together and getting into our first actual farming strat. And so I will be back shortly with information on that when we get there. And I hope to see you in the next video. I appreciate you.